The crystal chandeliers of the Grand Meridian Hotel cast dancing shadows across marble floors as Marcus Wellington adjusted his Patek Philippe watch. At 42, he had everything money could buy: a penthouse overlooking the city, a fleet of luxury cars, and a business empire worth billions. Tonight was supposed to be perfect. His engagement party to Victoria Ashford, socialite and heiress, was just hours away. "Mr. Wellington, your car is ready," his assistant announced. Marcus nodded, his Italian leather shoes clicking against the polished floor as he made his way to the exit. The autumn air was crisp, carrying with it the scent of expensive perfumes and ambition that always seemed to permeate this part of the city. That's when he saw him. A boy, no older than 10, sat on the hotel steps. His clothes were threadbare, his shoes held together with tape, but his eyes, those eyes burned with an intensity that stopped Marcus in his tracks. The child wasn't begging. He was simply sitting there, watching the parade of wealth with a wisdom that seemed far beyond his years. "Move along, kid," Marcus's driver said gruffly. "You're blocking the entrance." But the boy didn't move. Instead, he looked directly at Marcus, tilting his head slightly as if seeing through the expensive suit to something deeper beneath. "You're getting married," the boy said. It wasn't a question. Marcus felt an inexplicable urge to respond. "Engaged. The party's tonight. She's very beautiful." "Your fiancée?" the boy continued, his voice steady and clear. "I've seen her. She comes here often." Something in the child's tone made Marcus pause. He dismissed his driver with a wave. "What's your name, son?" "Daniel." "Alas. And I need to tell you something, Mr. Wellington." "Something important." Marcus almost laughed. What could this street child possibly tell him that would matter? But there was something about Daniel, a gravity, a seriousness that commanded attention. "There's a girl," Daniel said quietly. "She stays in the servant quarters of this hotel. Her name is Elena. She's 16, and she's been in a wheelchair for 3 years." "I'm sorry to hear that," Marcus replied automatically, reaching for his wallet. "Here, I don't want your money," Daniel interrupted, his voice sharper now. "I want you to listen. Elena can walk. The doctors confirmed it 6 months ago. Her injury's healed. She just needs physical therapy and practice. But she stays in that chair because someone won't let her walk." Marcus felt a chill despite his cashmere coat. "What are you talking about?" Daniel's eyes never wavered. "Your fiancée, Miss Ashford. She visits this hotel every Tuesday and Thursday, supposedly for charity work. But Elena's mother works here as a housekeeper. She owes Miss Ashford's family money, a debt from when Elena had her accident. Miss Ashford told Elena's mother that if Elena walks again, if she recovers, the debt will be called in immediately. They'll lose everything. Their home, their jobs, everything." The world seemed to tilt slightly. "That's impossible." "Victoria is, I know what she seems like," Daniel said softly. "Rich people are good at seeming. But Elena sits in that chair every day, watching other kids run and play, because your fiancé wants to keep her mother desperate and dependent. It makes her feel powerful." Marcus's throat felt tight. "How do you know all this?" "Because Elena is my friend. We met in the children's ward 3 years ago when my mom was sick. She tells me everything. She cries about it. She's 16, Mr. Wellington, 16 years old, and she's giving up her ability to walk because she doesn't want her mother to suffer." The boy stood up, and despite his small stature, he seemed to tower over Marcus in that moment. "You can do whatever you want with this information," Daniel said. "Marry her anyway. Pretend I never told you. Rich people are good at pretending to. But I thought you should know what kind of person holds your heart." Before Marcus could respond, Daniel turned and walked away, disappearing into the crowded street like a ghost bearing an unbearable truth. Marcus stood frozen for what felt like hours, but was probably only minutes. His mind raced. It couldn't be true. Victoria was sophisticated, educated, philanthropic. She sat on the boards of 3 charities. He pulled out his phone and made a call. Jenkins, I need you to investigate something. Quietly, 3 hours later, sitting in his office high above the city, Marcus stared at the folder his investigator had delivered. Bank records, contracts, witness statements from hotel staff too afraid to speak openly. Text messages retrieved from Victoria's old phone. It was all true. Not only had Victoria manipulated Elena's mother through debt, but she'd done it to others too. The charity work she was so proud of was a front for control and manipulation. She collected vulnerable people the way others collected art, displaying them when convenient, storing them away when not. The engagement party was in 2 hours. When Marcus arrived at the Grand Meridian's ballroom, it was already filling with society's elite. Victoria stood at the center, radiant in a gown that cost more than most people earned in a year. She smiled when she saw him, that perfect, practiced smile. "Darling, there you are." I was beginning to worry. Marcus took her hand, studying her face as if for the first time. How had he never seen it? The coldness behind the beauty, the calculation behind the charm. "Victoria, we need to talk. Now? The guests are arriving now." He led her to a private room off the main ballroom. She followed, confusion and irritation flickering across her features. "There's a girl named Elena," Marcus began. He watched Victoria's face transform. First shock, then fear, then, most tellingly, anger. "Who told you?" She hissed, her elegant composure cracking. "Was it that little street rat, Daniel?" "I knew he was trouble, so it's true." Victoria's eyes flashed. "You don't understand. People like Elena's mother, they need someone to manage them. They make terrible decisions. I'm actually helping stop." Marcus's voice was quiet but firm. "Just stop. Marcus, be reasonable. This is about money, about business. Her mother took a loan she couldn't repay. I'm simply ensuring. You're ensuring that a 16-year-old girl stays in a wheelchair to maintain your control." Marcus felt something inside him finally fully break. "You're making a child sacrifice her mobility for your ego." "Don't be dramatic," Victoria snapped, her mask completely gone now. "She's just some hotel worker's daughter. She's nobody. We're somebody. Don't throw away what we have over basic human decency," Marcus finished. "Over kindness? Over the ability to see someone else's humanity." He walked to the door and paused. "The engagement is off. I'll have my lawyers contact you about the rings and arrangements. You'll regret this." Victoria's voice rose to a shriek. "Do you know who my family is? What we can do to you?" Marcus turned back one last time. "I know exactly who you are now. That's why I'm leaving." 15 minutes later, Marcus found himself in the servant quarters of the hotel, an area he'd never visited in all his years of staying there. Daniel sat on the floor outside a modest room, playing cards with himself. "I knew you'd come," the boy said simply. "Is she here?" Daniel knocked on the door. A tired-looking woman answered, her eyes widening in recognition and fear when she saw Marcus. "Mr. Wellington, has something happened? Did Miss Ashford send?" "No one sent me," Marcus said gently. "I'm here about your daughter, about Elena. May I speak with her?" Inside the small room, a beautiful young girl sat in a wheelchair, her dark eyes filled with surprise and wariness. Marcus pulled up a chair and sat down, making sure he was at her eye level. "My name is Marcus. I hear you've been very brave." Elena looked at her mother, then at Daniel, then back at Marcus. "I don't understand." "I know about the debt. I know about the choice you've been making." Marcus's voice was soft. "But that ends today. I'm paying off your mother's debt. All of it. No strings, no conditions, no control." Elena's mother gasped. "Mr. Wellington, we couldn't possibly." "You're not asking. I'm offering. More than that, I'm insisting." He looked back at Elena. "And I want you to start physical therapy immediately. The best therapists, the best facility. I'll cover everything. Tears began streaming down Elena's face. "Why? You don't even know us." Marcus thought of Daniel, of the courage it took for a poor boy to confront a millionaire. He thought of Elena, sacrificing her mobility for her mother. He thought of Victoria and the life he'd almost settled for. "Because someone reminded me today what actually matters," he said. "And it isn't money or status or maintaining control over others. It's kindness. It's seeing people really seeing them. It's using whatever power we have to lift others up, not keep them down." 6 months later, Marcus stood in the same hotel lobby. He'd sold his penthouse and moved to a smaller place, redirecting the difference to a foundation he'd started. He was dating a teacher he'd met at a community center, someone who challenged him to be better every day. Mr. Wellington. He turned to see Elena walking toward him, walking with just a slight limp, her face radiant with joy and determination. Behind her, Daniel grinned. "I wanted to show you," Elena said. "I walked here, 12 blocks. Marcus felt tears in his eyes. "That's incredible, Elena. Thank you," she said simply, "for seeing us, for caring." As Marcus watched her walk away with Daniel, both of them laughing about something only children understand, he realized that this moment right here was worth more than every dollar in his bank account. Sometimes it takes a poor boy to teach a rich man what wealth really means. And sometimes the greatest gift we can give is simply letting someone walk free.